Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Mindful Homestead. My name is Jack, if you're new to the channel. If you are not new to the channel, you already know me. I am coming outside right now on this finally glorious sunny day to do an egg check. With the increased amount of daylight we've been getting, the ladies are ramping back up, and with the cold temperatures that we've got right now, it was 9 degrees last night, it's about 20 degrees right now. I want to make sure to stay on top of the eggs so that we don't lose any to getting frozen out here. You might have noticed lately that there's been a lot of commotion going on in the homesteading space. A lot of people are saying that they were using feed from a certain supplier and their chickens have stopped laying entirely and they transitioned to another feed of whatever kind and their birds started laying magically, so there must be something wrong with the feed. In this video, what I really want to do is I want to give you the info so you can decide if your chickens have stopped laying because of some crazy government conspiracy to taint the feed and stop your chickens from laying, or if it's just kind of the natural order of things and that's how things go. So stay tuned. I'm going to grab the eggs in here and then we'll get into it. Oh, hello Polish. How are you? Are you guarding that egg? This Polish is 8 years old, completely blind, definitely not laying anymore, but we keep her around because she's fun. Can I scoot in here? Can I get the egg? Our olive eggers have just come back online the last week or so, which is cool. Cool to see a green egg in there. We got a blue egg the other day too, for the first time since probably October. All right, let's take a walk out here into the chicken yard. I'm gonna upset the whole apple cart, as you can hear behind me. Let's just get right into it and talk about why your chickens would stop laying entirely in the winter. The first and biggest thing that you're gonna run into is that for a chicken to be a productive layer, you know, what triggers them to start laying and laying a lot is going to be 14 hours of sunlight in the day. That's kind of the threshold. If you live in the northern hemisphere, your longest day of the year is toward the tail end of June, the summer solstice. You know, you're looking around the 20th of June, the 21st of June. That's your longest day of the year. So you have to think every single day after that during summer, you're getting less and less and less sunlight. I actually pulled up some dates here from this past year and how many hours of sunlight you have in each day to kind of give you an idea of where that falls. September 1st is 13 hours, so you're under 14 hours by the 1st of September. October 1st was 11 and a half hours of sunlight. November 1st was 10 and a quarter hours of sunlight. And December 21st, which was the winter solstice this year, came in at 9 hours of sunlight. February 1st, today, when I'm filming this video, is 10 hours of sunlight. And March 1st is 11 and a quarter hours of sunlight. So you can see if your birds have been out of commission since October as far as laying goes, or laying has slowed drastically in October, that's fairly normal. Like, that's just the way chickens are. 14 hours of sunlight comes and goes. They hit it in the spring, they hit it in early summer. That's when you're gonna see peak production, and then things trail off. Now, I'm seeing a lot of comments this year too that say, well, my birds stopped laying in August, or my birds stopped laying in September. And that's gonna lead into another reason why your chickens might stop laying, which is gonna be their molt. Molting is when a chicken loses its feathers and it regrows a whole new set. Chickens, they're not like humans where they lose a hair, they grow another one to replace it. They tend to shed all their feathers at once. They'll start at the tail, go up to the head, and then they'll grow in a new set behind it. That's just how chicken feathers work. I don't know what else to tell you there.
What more do you want from me?
Those feathers that they're growing are very protein heavy. That's what it takes to grow them. And incidentally, your eggs are also very protein heavy. That's why they're such a good nutritious food that we like to eat. Now, your molt will begin typically at around 18 months of age for a chicken. If you go backwards and you think, when are most chickens hatched? They're hatched in the spring, let's say April. 18 months puts them at the September after their first full year of laying. You know, this all ties in with age. A chicken will be most productive in laying in its first year of life. Once it starts laying, say that chicken is hatched in April, it's gonna start laying maybe by September or October of that year, and it's just gonna keep dropping eggs because that's when it's the best at laying eggs, is right when it starts through its first full year. You go through that first winter, the chicken lays, it picks up again big time in spring because you get that daylight back. It lays like a machine all summer long for you, and then August or September hits, it turns 18 months old, it starts its molt, and your eggs shut down entirely. And a molting chicken doesn't always look as extreme as some of the pictures that you're gonna see if you Google image search molt. Because sometimes they'll do a hard molt, sometimes they'll do a soft molt. It really all depends on the individual bird and a couple of other factors. But really what it comes down to is that your bird could be losing feathers from its tail section and moving so slow through its molt that you really don't even know that it's molting. The biggest thing there is that you're looking at 18 months of age for that chicken. So if you think, and to go back to when you got that bird as a chick, how long it needs to grow before it hits that first molt. You know, you may not know it's molting just by looking at the chicken, but you'll definitely know if it's molting by the fact that it's not laying. So let's say we have a chicken born in April, pretty common. It goes 18 months, it starts molting in August it's basically its second year of life, stops laying in August, finishes its molt maybe by the end of September, and then all of a sudden you're running into boom, October 1st with not a ton of daylight. That chicken is not gonna pick back up. It's not gonna start laying all of a sudden and just continue on as if nothing had happened. This is actually the reason why some people will do fall chicks, so that those chicks mature over the winter when they're not really supposed to be laying anyway. And then all of a sudden the following spring, they go right into laying and they lay super productively and they'll carry right through, and you'll miss that molt. They'll start molting the end of the following winter. So that right there is something to think about if you're gonna be getting chicks and you're trying to think about the timing. Do I want spring chicks? Do I want fall chicks? I like spring chicks personally just because of the ease of brooding them. You know, you're raising them into the heat, whereas in the fall you're raising them into the cold, and you're talking about young birds going into their first winter. That's really a call that you've got to make, but it's something to think about. So we've discussed sunlight, we've discussed age, we've discussed molting. The next thing to talk about really is going to be the breed of your chickens and what you're keeping on your small homestead or farm as far as breeds, because that also, it plays into it pretty substantially. I've discussed this on the channel before, but in our flock, we keep a variety of different types of chickens. If you look at the breeds of chickens that we keep, you'll see everything ranging from ISA Browns right here, which are a production brown egg layer, to Sassy next to it, one of the oldest chickens here on the farm besides that Polish, who is a blue Andalusian, a Spanish breed, not particularly well known for their cold tolerance, not particularly well known for their egg laying ability, just a very pretty bird that's kind of on the more rare side of breeds, something that we like keeping around. We also keep Easter eggers, we keep olive eggers, we keep Buff Orpingtons, we keep Barred Rocks. We've got a variety of chickens here, and the egg laying prowess of each particular breed is much different. For instance, those ISA Browns that I mentioned before that are production layer, they are typically the ones that will lay for us throughout the winter. We're not going to get as many eggs from them during the winter as we would in the spring and summer, but we will still typically get eggs from those birds, especially when they're young, throughout the winter. That breed was built to do one thing when it was as refined as a chicken, and that is lay eggs. Then you move into your heritage breeds that are more egg laying oriented, your Barred Rocks, your Buff Orpingtons, things like that. Those chickens, again, they were, when they were selected for through breeding to have specific breed characteristics, egg laying was one of the things that they selected for. You know, you've got to remember that if you're breeding a chicken for anything but its egg laying ability, you're not looking at that egg laying ability, so the egg laying of that chicken is usually going to suffer fairly drastically. So if you've got a coop full of Cochins and Silkies and Bantams and really any chicken that wasn't bred for egg laying and it shuts down on you in the winter, that's not a conspiracy, that's just the way it is. And you got to remember too, it's not just the things I talked about in this video. Every stressor that your birds face, whether it's a parasite load, an overcrowded coop, really cold weather, maybe they ran out of water before you got home from work that day and you were a little bit late getting them their evening water, all of these things can affect the way that your chickens are going to lay. So just because you say, oh, my chickens are still young, my chickens are getting a good feed, my chickens, they didn't molt during that point of the year. There could be a whole host of other things out there that are causing your chickens to not lay at whatever particular point in time you've decided it's an issue. And it's not your fault that they're not laying, and it's not a dig at you for thinking something is wrong. You didn't know, and nobody talks about that sort of thing, which is, maybe says something about the way I educate. I've done a lot of chicken education videos on this channel, and I don't think I've ever mentioned that you need to get ready to not have eggs from your chickens during your second or third winter, potentially. Which again gets back into eggs. We have 4-year-old chickens in this flock, and those 4-year-old birds, they're probably not even laying in the summer. They're maybe laying 1 egg a week in the summertime. Wintertime, they're not laying. Like, that's just, there's 30 or so chickens out here, and we're getting 10 eggs a day right now. That's pretty good by my standards, especially if you come over here and take a look at what we're feeding them. Oh no! It's the dreaded do more. Without getting too far down the rabbit hole, that's the feed that everyone's saying right now is causing their chickens to not lay any eggs. But as you can see, looking in this bucket here, which is what they've laid since Jackie left for work at 8 a.m. today, which is only what they've laid since Jackie left for work at 8 a.m. because she collected them before she took off. I think we're doing all right, but I can pretty much say that I don't think it's the feed that everyone is getting all worked up over. So don't worry, if you're a new chicken owner and your birds look otherwise happy and healthy, and they're just not laying a lot for you this time of year, I wouldn't beat yourself up over it. I wouldn't necessarily blame the feed over it. If you do want to switch feed, and there's not really any harm in doing that, go for it. But know that if you switch the feed and they miraculously start laying again, it's probably just because of that guy up there in the sky. And we're getting a little bit more of it this time of year. If you like this video and you like hearing my voice talk about things like chickens and pigs and homesteading on a small farm, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Otherwise, as I always say when I end my videos, thank you for watching, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye.